a two-family, you know, to collect $1,000 a month of rent, pay expenses, deal with tenants, deal with repairs. And in Newburgh, he had a property manager, but he's like, I get 2 units rented, one would be evicted within 2 months. I have lead-based paint issues, I have violations. I go, well, what else do you have? He goes, well, I have a property that my dad worked really hard to pass down to me. He passed away a couple of years ago, and I also have a 2-family in Brooklyn, New York, in Bushwick. So anybody know Bushwick? Right? So Bushwick, if you're not from New York, has gone through a major regentrification over the last 10 years. I mean, there's hipsters riding bicycles all over the place now, where it was rough 10 years ago. You know, people are paying $2,000, $3,000 a month in rents for 1- and 2-bedroom apartments in this area now. I said, okay, tell me about that property, Johnson. He goes, well, I own it free and clear. My dad passed away. He handed it to me, you know, with no mortgage on it whatsoever. I was like, Johnson, I know we can help you, and I know that this is a very tough pill for you to swallow, to have to write another check. But just as Jay gave you guys a promise that he's going to stick to it. He can't promise that you're going to make X% return. He can't promise that there's not going to be bumps in the road. But he can promise that he's going to make a commitment to you to do everything in his power to give you every possible resource for you to be successful at this. And that's exactly what I told Johnson. I said, Johnson, I know it's hard. But if you stick with me, I will sit down with you. Lisa will sit down with you. We will set up a game plan. If you follow what I tell you to do, we're going to be able to get you results because you have some amazing resources here. I said, one of the first things I'm going to tell you to do, and you're going to have to be comfortable, is you're going to have to lose even more money because you got to get rid of these 2 dumps that you're managing. So he ultimately made the investment with us, and we sat down, and he had to sell the property in Gloversville. He had to lose 20 grand. He had to sell the property in Newburgh. He had to lose $15,000. So now he's well over $120,000, $130,000 in the hole at this point. Between the education that he's bought, me telling him now, okay, you just paid me $30,000, but now you got to go lose another $35,000, $40,000. Okay, not easy to do, but he was a great student, and he listened. Okay, he listened to what we were telling him and used the systems that you all are going to have access to take advantage of what Jay's put together to produce an amazing result. But first and foremost, he realized that he had a resource, right? So he had a 2-family in Bushwick that was owned free and clear, that he was managing. He wasn't making money on it. After taxes, after an eviction, after the work orders that the city puts on you to fix the sidewalk, to do this, do that. It was sucking his time, but he wasn't really making much money. He was making like $5 grand a year off of this thing. But he was sitting on what he thought. He told me, he's like, I think it's worth about $600,000. I said, okay, let me do a little bit of work. Let me call some of our brokers who know that market. They called me up after I reached out to one of our brokers and said, Chris, did he tell you that it sits on a double lot and there's a 7-car garage that comes with the 2-family? I said, no, he failed to tell me that, but that's why I called you. You're the expert in Brooklyn and Bushwick in selling these types of deals. He goes, let me do a little bit of work with him. I can get this rezoned, and it's better being sold as a development site versus just a straight-up 2-family with the 7-car garage. He sold the property for $1,030,000. So over $1 million. Great for Johnson, right? That's why he's smiling in that picture. So we helped him facilitate that sale and did what's called a 1031 exchange. So he took the $1 million that he made, he put it aside. He didn't go run to the bank and say, I want to go buy a Bentley, I want to go buy a car, a house, go on a huge vacation. He needed to set himself up for the rest of his life. Okay? That was very important that he got very good, consistent cash flow and build a legacy now the way his dad, for him, he just had a baby too about 1.5 years ago during all of this. He wanted to build a legacy for his future, his son and his son's son, you know, down the road. So we went out and we found him a 23-unit in Buckhead, completely renovated, 100% occupied through one of our relationships that we have in the market. And he put the $1 million down. We helped him secure financing. And now on that one deal, he bought it for $1,095,000, $1,950,000. He put down $1 million. We got him a loan for $1 million. He's cash flowed over $80,000 consistently, anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 a month. Johnson will probably not do another deal. the rest of his life. Not because this one is so good. He's the sweetest guy in the world, but flusters like crazy. You know, you throw one little wrinkle at him, and he's like, I don't know what's going on. You know, he just calls the manager every month and says, can I pull out $8,000? And the guy tells him yes. And then he sends Lisa the financials to make sure that everything's going the right way. But the point is, he's not going to be a big real estate mogul. But he took an opportunity that he was given and took action. And it wasn't easy. He had to invest a lot of money to do that. But ultimately, over the next 10 years, he's going to make over $800,000 of cash flow. Never has to worry now. Doesn't have to work. He has a core asset. But in addition to that, he's building a tremendous amount of equity. He will build another $800,000 to $900,000 of equity. All starting with this little two-family in Brooklyn that he was sitting on and had no idea. Thought that that's what his life was destined to be, like his dad's, which his dad did an amazing job. But he's like, you know what, I got this property, I got to manage it, I got to do this. This is what my dad did for the last 20 years. And then took that asset, surrounded himself with the people to get the results that he needed, and turned that $5,000 a year two-family into $80,000, $90,000 a year on a 23-unit building. That's not only going to produce cash flow, but secure him and his family for the rest of their life. On how many deals? One. So the lesson to be learned here, why we spend time on resources on Friday morning, is to look at what you have, look at what your family has, and see how you can utilize the resources and apply them to the knowledge that you're learning this weekend. Okay, if he didn't put himself in that situation, I can guarantee you he'd still have the two-family in Brooklyn, he'd still have the busted-up lead-based paint-filled house in Newburgh, and be driving 10 hours a month up to Gloversville, New York, to try to make $200 a month of cash flow. Meanwhile, it cost him $300 a month in gas to go back and forth. So now he's able to focus on himself, his family, his new baby. He's arranged his life so he can do what he wants, which is good for him. He doesn't want to build a $100 million real estate investment business, which is totally fine. For some of you, you might take a zero off of some of these numbers, and it still will have a major impact on where you want to go. So that's why I wanted to share that with you guys, because I think it's such a powerful story.
Absolutely. And the thing that stuck out to me about the story, if you think about it, is the guy spent money on Rich Dad, spent money on Trump, and those are poor investments, I guess, because the results didn't pan out for him. But then he invested in Chris's coaching. And that investment, right? So it's a high-ticket item. And we charge the same price for our one-on-one coaching. My one-on-one coaching is $30 grand for the year. Really 35, 30 if you move fast. That's what I say to my clients. And I have a new coaching client that I just locked in from Richmond, Virginia. He's between Richmond and LA. But we had a whole conversation. He has $500,000 liquid, and we've been building. And it was quite simple. And me speaking to him about, because it sounds like such a big number. What, 30K? What do you mean $30,000 to? But look how much the guy rearranged his whole life by having a smart, strategic coach with the experience to do what he's doing. That was a serious investment that has now netted him a whole different situation and perspective on his chessboard. Sometimes you got to call the experts in to help you rearrange your chessboard. And I think we really undervalue what that looks like. I know we cracked jokes last night on Young Gun back there. Hey, Robert. We call him Robert because he invested $3,500 on Robert Kiyosaki's program to get 6 webinars, where he could have spent $97 a month or $873 for the year to get the Academy 24 webinars, 24 virtual protege programs, plus group mentorship calls for an entire year. From me, with me actually on the phone. But yet he got one of Robert's trainers on the phone who netted him nothing. Which, we crack jokes, I don't know he can take it, so I can poke fun at him. So we call him Robert Kiyosaki Jr. Because he had my program in hand, he had Robert's in hand, and he said, you know what? Jay's program is cheaper, Robert's is $3,500, Jay's is $873. The more expensive one should have more value, but he learned different later. But the point being is that when having mentors, coaches, having someone strategically help you arrange your chessboard is so invaluable, especially for someone you can trust, someone you know has experience, and someone you know that has your best interest in heart. And that's what Johnson did with Chris, is that he doubled down.
Yeah.
He doubled down on his investments and say, you know what, I believe in you and what you're going to do for me. Although I blew all this money over here, you're telling me now to sell properties and lose more money, but I trust you, but sometimes you got to clean house. And so for many of you who want to get to that next level, you have to buy into your coaches and be coachable. Like you say, it was a great student.
You have to be coachable.
Absolutely.
I think that touches a great point. Like, we will turn down people that want our services, and I know you have as well. It's not just about somebody who has a lot of money and things like that. Johnson and Linda were great students. It took them 1.5 years, almost 2 years, to go through the process to get to this property. You know, but every step of the way, we'd have our call, we'd give them the action items, and he'd do it sometimes at his own pace. What would take some of us would take him 4 weeks, but he would get it done and then move on to the next one. And how many people think he got a good return on his investment? Say aye. Aye. Right? And I think that's really what Jay's point is, and I couldn't agree more. You know, we've invested, you have to look at it as an investment, not a cost. And then, what's my return going to be?
Right. And that's what I told my client. So he's sitting on 500 liquid. He's stuck. He doesn't know what to do. He has 2 properties, has 500,000 liquid, has a great business going, and he just can't get to the next level. And bro, if you want me to come in and get under the hood and figure all this out, there's an investment of my time, because the investment that we put into your business, into your life, we be put into our own businesses and our own lives. So if you want me to put my business on pause to help your business, there's a cost for that. But the question I asked him was very simple, is that you can move forward with your life as it is and try to figure it out. He's a smart guy. He probably will figure a lot of things out. It may take a little bit of time. He'll figure it out. But do you think the investment into my strategic coaching will help you double your net worth or triple your net worth and get to the next level? Are you better off without me or with me? And that was an easy answer for him. Jay, I know if I invest this in you for your time, for your expertise, I know I'm going to make more money in the long run. And that's all it's about, is with an investment into your business, into your education, at the end of the day, when you net, your NOI be greater with the coach than without a coach.